Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So just wanted to have a quick little chat about Erik Ten Hag and maybe some of the most common misconceptions about how business is done just in football in general. But just before we get into this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Cool. Anyway, let's talk Erik Ten Hag. Now, a lot of people, if you look online, and this is mainly online Twitter fans. I don't have Twitter, but we call them Twitter fans. I see a lot of it on Facebook, some of it on Instagram, calling for Erik Ten Hag to go out. And now, I want to say this off the bat. Yes, Erik Ten Hag has made mistakes. Every manager makes mistakes. Now, some of the mistakes that he's made has been maybe some of the people he has signed, and definitely some of the weird things he's done on the field, with Anthony and Scott McTominay, just some of the substitutions he makes. Though I know a lot of it is down to us having a very, very weak bench, and there's not really no one else to bring on. So I do sympathize with him. If you look at Liverpool, you look at Man City, you look at Arsenal, they have loads of players they can bring on and change the game. And we don't have that at the moment. But we're not here to talk about the on-field things. We're going to talk about a bit of the financial and what has happened over the last few years with Erik Ten Hag and going even before that. So there's been a lot of talk about, Ineos coming in and removing or potentially removing some of Erik Ten Hag's power. We know Erik Ten Hag has a veto clause in his contract to say if he does not like one of the players the scouts are looking to bring in, he can veto. And also since Erik Ten Hag has come in, he's kind of been I know it's not official, but he's kind of been our scout and director of football. We've kind of signed most of the players he wanted, barring maybe Casemiro and one or two others maybe. I think there was at least one other player that I cannot think off the top of my head that wasn't his signing, but was brought in just to make up some numbers. But if we actually look back, let's go about 10 years or so. The next 10 years, I see a big reason why Erik Ten Hag wanted this clause in his contract and wants to do business his way until we get a proper structure in. Look, we have not had a successful track rate on signing players and developing players over the last 10 years since Alex Ferguson has retired. We have signed some really greedy players. I'm looking at Angel Di Maria. Maybe you can put Paul Pogba, Anthony Martial in there. And we've also, on top of that, given out insane contracts to players who don't even feature for the club. I'm looking at you, Phil Jones. And if you are any coach, right? Any coach that has paid attention to Manchester United in the last 10 years or so, and you were, looking to get into this job, I think you would want to have a lot of say on the players you bring in, because you look at the scouting department, you look at our director of football and John Murtaugh, you look at, what was Richard Arnold, and you would have no faith in what these scouts and director of the director of football, the type of players they have brought in. They've been all over the place. There's been no consistency over the last decade or so. Now, Erik Ten Hag has probably seen that and seen some of the absolute garbage we've brought in over the last decade. Let's add in like a Morgan Schneiderlin, Memphis Depay, and he's gone, I'm not going to deal with this. I want to bring in my own players, and any players you guys scout, I need to be able to see and have a potential to veto what you're seeing and what player you want to bring in, which has kind of led down to us signing loads of Dutch players that have signed under Erik Ten Hag, because you can't trust our scouting system. And the players that had played for him previously have done pretty well. They reached like semifinals of the Champions League. They've won their respective leagues. So I think he was thinking they could bring that mentality over to Manchester United. And I think he's had a pretty decent success rate. Look, the average success rate of transfers in the Premier League is around 60%. And I would think we hit that kind of number. Look, Anthony has been a disaster. But you could look at guys like Martinez has been good. I think Amrabat, we're not going to include loanees here. I think Casemiro has been good, but that was not actually a Ten Hag signing. That was an emergency club signing that we had an opportunity to capitalize on. And other players such, I think Onana is still up in the air. So there's a few others. I think Rasmus Højlund has been a hit. We can't tell with Mason Mount yet. I think we've had around 50 to 60% success rate on our players. I thought Malacia also had a good first season. He's been out injured. Who knows where the hell he is. So I don't think we can really jump on his back. And then what people do jump on his back for is the amount we've been paying for players. Let's not act like this is a new thing with Erik Ten Hag. And we've got to stop pretending or acting like Erik Ten Hag is flying out with the checkbook and signing these players for 100 million, for 75 million, and then giving them wages of around 200 grand when they're coming off a 25 grand contract, giving players 5 years when they should have gotten 2 or 3 years on their contract. Look, all Erik Ten Hag does, and I need people to really understand this, is that he goes out, he tells them what players they want, and then it's up to our board, John Murta, Richard Arnold, to sign these players. And can you tell me that they've had a good record of signing players, cheap players? They've overpaid for almost every single player they could go for, maybe excluding Malacia. You look at the Paul Pogba deal. You look at the Martial deal. Look at the Amad Diallo deal. Is insanity. Mason Mount. We could have literally, if we knew that he was going to be injured, we should have just got him on a free this summer. But this has been a trend in Manchester United for the last 10 years. So trying to pin how much we pay on players on Erik Ten Hag is absolutely ridiculous to me. Look, I understand Anthony, and this is like the main perpetrate right here, is Anthony has been an awful, awful signing for us. And the crazy thing is, we scouted him, not really scouted him, but we quoted him at around 25 million. Should have paid around 40 or 50. And then we ended up paying, almost 100 million for this kid. I doubt Erik Ten Hag, I highly doubt him, that he went out and said, pay whatever you can, pay 100 million for him. Because the plan was that summer was to get him and to get Gakpo on the books. But our incompetent board in John Murta and Richard Arnold have done what they've done for the last damn decade and just thrown whatever money it takes to get players out of certain clubs. And it's just been insanity. And this is why we're in a financial hole that we are. So what this means is that I don't think we can pin a lot of this stuff on Erik Ten Hag. So maybe some of the scouting, but Pep had the same issue. Klopp has had the same issue. Not every player we're ever going to scout and bring into the club is going to be a hit. The problem is the prices that we pay for them. People think that Erik Ten Hag is just with the checkbook throwing it out. But we really got to look more behind the scenes here. And some of these guys that have made these ridiculous signings, you can see are now being pushed out of the club, and rightly so, by these new executives coming in for Ineos. Look, I understand Erik Ten Hag has made some weird choices on and off the pitch, but we got to stop blaming the price of transfers on Erik Ten Hag. Sure, blame some of the selections he's made in those transfers, but also go look at how many failed transfers Pep has had, Klopp has had, Arteta's had. Every club has these guys. We can't act like every signing we're going to make is going to be an absolute success. It just does not happen. What we got to do is just stop overpaying for mediocre players and just let our hopeful new scouting department do what they need to do. I don't think Erik Ten Hag is going to have any issue relinquishing some of his power when we get a proper structure in, because we didn't have one prior to him, and he knew that. That's why he had this clause in his contract, and he's chosen these players, because our scouting has been shit. So let's see what he can do once there's a proper structure in, once a scouting network can identify the players that need to fit this system, not a Netherlands system, but what we need to do in the Premier League. I have a bit more faith in this guy, and I'm excited, and I hope he stays to see what he can do with a proper structure. But let me know what you think. I know a lot of people probably won't like that and are Erik Ten Hag out already, but let me know what you think. Comment down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you later.